The Dougie and Deb Podcast is in association with Ben Coffee Co. Burbage, your local specialty coffee roaster and supplier. Register for your free sample at bencoffeeco.co.uk.
Hi everybody and welcome to episode 8 of the Dougie and Deb Podcast. Coming up in today's show, it's the season finale of the Dougie and Deb Podcast and we chat to West End and Broadway star KERRY ELLIS. KERRY talks all about her legendary career in shows such as We Will Rock You and My Fair Lady, to name just a few, and of course her legendary run as Elphaba in the smash hit show Wicked.
And that's not to mention Dougie's stories of working with Queen legend Brian May, her studio album and lots more. What a career this lady has had.
Incredible.
I'm a huge fan.
Me too.
Yeah.
We have the return of the Rewind Challenge. 3 songs back to back, but in reverse. Can you name them? Did you name them last week and get them right? If you did, maybe you'll get a shout out on this week's show.
Indeed. And the last one in this series, we are going back in our time machine to the groovy 70s, baby, and revisiting the year of 1979.
All of that is coming up in the next hour or so for your listening pleasure. As always, put the kettle on, get yourself a little drink, chill out, get the snacks. I'm still working through a packet of Jaffa cakes from last week.
Full moon.
What's your biscuit of choice?
Oh, I like a hobnob.
Lovely. Let's dish them out. Enjoy your snacks. Sit back, relax, enjoy the rest of the show. It's going to be a great one. Hi everybody in podcast land and welcome to the season finale of the Dougie and Deb Podcast. I am joined for the final time this season by my glamorous assistant Deb. Say hello, Deb.
Hello, Deb.
How you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good. 8 times you've said that so far.
I know.
Never got old.
No.
In fact, I get messages to say now that it's so repetitive, people have actually started saying it along with you at home. I love that.
Yeah, that's good. It's my trademark.
It's brilliant. It's your little thing. Cannot believe this is the 8th and final episode of season 1. And what a season it has been.
Absolutely fantastic.
You went very Gary Barlow then. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
It has been. And it's been a real whirlwind, a real shock for us. We said it before. When we set this up as 2 unemployed singers who were looking for something to do creatively.
Yeah.
We both like a chat. We both get on pretty well. And we thought we'd put it in a podcast form. And before you know it, we're interviewing Jimmy from 911 and thinking we need to take this seriously.
Yeah, 100%.
So with that said, highlights. What's been your highlights of the season so far?
Oh, gosh. So all the amazing people we've spoken to and interviewed. So Jimmy from 911, Dave Hemingway, Richie from 5.
We only wanted one.
Who was, sorry?
One highlight. A 15-minute rant.
My highlight was winning the first episode of the Dougie versus Deb challenge.
Yes, that's very true. Yeah, you did.
That's very
good. I've got loads. I mean, we've got KERRY ELLIS coming up, which it was a massive one for us.
Yeah.
However, it's a tricky one because there are absolutely loads. I think the highlight for me was probably the first interview with Jimmy from 911.
Yeah.
It was no better or worse than any of the other interviews. I just think it set the tone for the rest of the series.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, this guy sold 6 million records. He was lovely as well. And he just set the tone for where the rest of the show was going to go.
Yes.
Having Richie from 5 on. People that we grew up watching.
Yeah.
You know, being children of the 80s and being of teenage age where these guys, you know, had their careers.
Yeah, they were in their prime, yeah.
Watching 5 on the TV and then suddenly I'm chatting to Richie like he's a mate.
Yeah,
and I've got his number in my phone, which is brilliant.
And then Chrissy Rock and Stevie Ritchie.
Was brilliant. Chrissy Rock's invited us out for a meal when we get a chance, when things are opened up. Just amazing. And then, Stevie Ritchie was a real highlight because he's so unexpected. I think you get to hear about them, what people want to put out, the press and stuff. He couldn't have been any further away from what I expected.
Yeah.
Lovely, down to earth, funny, Just an amazing gentleman.
And I think after when, the restrictions kind of lift, I think you'll go down and have a drink with him. And,
absolutely.
we both will.
100%. Yeah, that is on the cards. And last week, Michael from Collabro, who'd have thought that, 10 weeks ago, when this was just an idea, we'd be chatting to someone who has actually won Britain's Got Talent.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane. You would never have thought of it. And they're all lovely people. And Series 2 is in production. I don't want to say too much. And some of the interviews we've got for next series are unbelievable.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Aren't they? Speaking of unbelievable, you're unbelievable.
Dun, 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 dun.
I did not expect you to go down that route. I expected that. Oh,
yeah, I forgot about that bit.
That's fine, whatever. Absolutely fine. Just to a little bit of housekeeping for everyone. There has been no Dougie and Deb challenge last week, and there isn't going to be one this week. The reason being, you were self-isolating a little bit.
I was.
So time has been a little bit difficult to fit it all in. It's quite a big process when we do these challenges. Yes. But what we've decided is at the moment, I'm winning 4-2.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to do is we're going to do a one-off special when the season ends, just for a new challenge, and we will decide a winner.
We will.
We will have a winner. So don't fear. If you're a fan of Dougie and Deb challenge, there will be one in between series.
There will.
We promise.
Be great.
And I'm going to win. Right, okay. So something we could both agree on is a love of musicals.
Yes, love them.
What's your favourite musical?
Not only because we're speaking to KERRY ELLIS today.
Yeah, it is.
No,
Coward.
Wicked. Oh my God, I just love it. I love the music. I love the story, the characters, everything.
How many times have you been to see it?
4 or 5, I think.
No way.
Yeah.
Are you just lying for the podcast?
No.
I genuinely thought I was going to win this because I've been to see it 3 times.
Have you?
With 3 different Elphabas. And actually, the first Elphaba that I ever saw was KERRY ELLIS.
Yeah?
I'm totally fell in love.
Yeah, she's incredible.
Do you remember the moment when we found out we were going to get this interview? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Because you're a big into musicals. You sing a lot of musical stuff. You've got an amazing voice. And when I got the interview, I messaged KERRY, and she was so gracious and so lovely.
Yeah.
She replied back pretty much instantly and went, absolutely would love to. We sorted the date out. She could have been any lovelier if she tried.
No.
And then I told you the next day it was happening.
I think I just did like a little squeal and
You actually did. It was so cute. Now, we're both massive Wicked fans. We're massive fans of KERRY as well. So it's a huge honour to have her on the show. And our chat with KERRY is coming up after this.
We want it. We need it. It's Dougie and Deb's podcast. So precious.
Right, it is now interview time. KERRY ELLIS is widely regarded as the leading lady, both in the West End and Broadway musicals, as well as achieving chart-topping success with her debut album, Anthems. KERRY originated the role of Meat in Queen's musical We Will Rock You, as well as leading roles in Oliver, My Fair Lady, Miss Saigon, and Les Mis, to name a few. But she's arguably best known as the first ever British Elphaba in the West End smash Wicked.
And here is KERRY doing what she does best.
Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. Too late for second guessing. Too late to go back to sleep. It's time to trust my instincts. Close my eyes and leap. It's time to try defying gravity. I think I'll try defying gravity. And you can't pose
So we are now joined by the Queen of Musical, Miss KERRY ELLIS. How you doing, KERRY? Okay.
Good. Thank you for having me. It's lovely to be on your show. I love the on-air sign that people can't see, but I can behind you. I love that.
It's very cheap, but looks good.
I love it. I love it.
Very good. Right. Okay. So we all know you from Wicked and loads of other shows. But at 16, you start off at Lanes Performing Arts College. What starts you on that journey, and at what age did you think musical theatres for me? This is my thing.
Yeah, I don't know if it was ever a particularly turning point moment. I think for me, it was my parents putting me into local dance school when I was younger. You know, I was that child that just did everything that was active. I did trampolining and horse riding and swimming and all that. Anything that was physical, I would do. Oh, my computer's doing all weird things to me. Our technology. And I just loved being physical. And that was what was important to me. I think as a parent now, I totally understand why my parents did that. It was just to run me out, I do for my kids. Yeah. I just put them into anything that will just, get rid of that energy and let them be kind of free. And that was what was important. And I think as I got a bit older, kind of when I was around, I don't know, early teens, I got a part in The Wizard of Oz in Ipswich at the Wolsey Theatre, which was local to us. And I was only playing a young child, but like one of the babes. I was like an Emerald City person and Munchkin. But for me, that was like, it was the first time I got paid to be on stage. I think I got like 20 quid a week or something. But for me, it was like, this is amazing. I'm getting paid to do something that I love doing. This is a no-brainer. And for me, it was just quite straightforward from there. I then went to drama school and then started working. But there was never a moment of, right, this is what I'm going to do as such. It was just always going to happen. There wasn't going to be another option. I knew I wanted to perform and sing, and I didn't know how it would happen. I didn't know how I would navigate the career, but I just knew I wanted to perform, and I kind of just see what happens really along the way, and that was it.
It kicks off, that's for sure. And then you make your West End debut as an understudy in My Fair Lady. You go on. I'm telling you all this like you don't know, but for people that don't know, I'm feeling it's like this is your life or something. This, isn't it? I've always wanted to do that.
It's good. You're good at it. You tell it. It's good.
That's an amazing career. It's an amazing career. When you first get that part as an understudy for Eliza Doolittle in My Fair Lady, does that give you an insight into how to be a leading lady in the future? And how did that stand you instead for what was to come?
That's a really good question, actually, because very good. Very good. I don't think I thought about it too much because I was straight out of college. I'd done a couple of jobs, like I'd done a cruise ship and I'd done a mini tour and stuff. So I was learning along the way. But with My Fair Lady, I think there was so much hype around the show with Martine. She was huge at the time. She was on the front of every magazine. She was in the paper. There was no social media. So the power of like television and newspapers was huge at that time. And I think for me, when I went on, it was a big deal in the papers. I remember this like double spread of me in an awful dress, and it's an awful picture, so please don't Google it. But what was incredible was, I went on as her understudy and it went mental. People were just talking about it. And for me, it was like, I don't really understand why it's such a big, why are they bothering about me? Yes, for her to be poorly and people going to see her and that, I totally understand that. But for people to be, talking about the understudy who's, nobody knows who I am, I've not been on the telly, nobody cared. But suddenly I was on the map and suddenly people were starting to say my name and starting to talk about me, which was great. Although, you're doing a big show, and when the announcement goes out, which I don't think they do anymore, that tonight the part of Eliza Doolittle was not going to be played by Martin McCutcheon, you hear 2,000 people go, it's going to be played by KERRY ELLIS, and you just don't really hear anything. It's like tumbleweed. And that was hard because you're like, oh wow, people are coming to see her and she's not here. However, what it did do for me, it made me go, right, I want people to enjoy the show. I want to come away with people still enjoying the show. Yes, they haven't seen Martine, but I just want them to enjoy the show. And my mission now is to make them do that. So for me, it kind of gave me the fire that I needed. And that was it, really. That kind of just kick-started it off. I don't think I really learned how to lead a company as such until later. I don't think I realised the importance of that until a lot later. I was still in my 20s when I was doing My Fair Lady. And I think those things come when you're put in a different situation, like Wicked or something like Oliver, maybe, you know, when you are leading a company, and it's important how you behave and how you conduct yourself, how you commit to the show. But yeah, it wasn't then, I don't think.
Oh, it's absolutely brilliant. And then you went on to star in We Will Rock You, working with Queen and Brian May. What was that like?
Yeah, amazing. I mean, again, it was one of these things that was happening very soon, and I was very young. And yes, of course, I knew who Queen were. My dad was a big Queen fan. But for me, it was like, okay, I'm going for an audition. And I knew that Brian had seen me in the show and asked me to go and audition, but I didn't really know the depths of it. I just knew that I had this audition. He'd seen me in the show. I didn't know that he'd come back a couple of times to watch me play Eliza. And so I just went along with it. I did 7 auditions. I remember auditioning for them and singing his song for him, which was a little bit terrifying. Yeah. But again, I was kind of just taking it in my stride. I wasn't really thinking about it too much. And I think that's the beauty of youth. You know, you're not naive to it, but you have a brazenness about you, a confidence about you that if I walk into a room now, I will more than likely know a lot of the panel. And I feel this expectation. I feel this sense of, right, show us what you got, you know, show us all this history and this experience you have. And that terrifies me. Whereas I think when I was younger, I just walked in and was like, well, this is who I am. This is what I'm going to do. And, you know, have it kind of thing. That was it. But We Will Rock You was amazing. And obviously I'm so grateful to have met Brian. It changed my life in a way. It introduced me to a music career. It introduced me to how to be in a studio, how to record, how to put an album together. And then we've gone on to tour and do albums, and he's become a friend, a mentor. You know, it's mental, really. It's not until I look back on it, I go, hang on a minute. Yeah. Wow.
Absolutely. You get numbers like us asking you questions, and then it brings
No, it's amazing. I'm proud of it. In lockdown, I've written a book. Clang, I'll just throw that one down. Because I wanted to use this as a stopgap and use it as an opportunity to look back over the 41 years and I know and remember all those moments and what I felt before I forgot them, and I wanted to kind of mark them down. So that's why I wrote this book, and it's been nice to talk about it and go over it, and that's why it's lovely to still be interviewed and talk to people about those exciting times, because they are amazing.
Oh, well, you're a role model. There's no two ways about it. So the latest album, you touched on that, so we'll go to that quickly. The latest album, Feels Like Home, out now.
Thank you.
We've had it on this morning.
Yay!
We have actually. It's amazing. How does it differ? You say about being a pop star now and the different. How does it differ being a recording artist and a pop star, for want of a better term, as opposed to a musical theatre style? What are the major differences?
I don't know. For me, the music is the same. You know, we're all interpreting songs. We're all telling stories. It doesn't matter if you're, you know, in a show surrounded by sets and other characters and costumes, or standing on a stage as yourself singing a cover or singing one of your own songs. For me, it's the same. We're telling stories. We're communicating, and it's how you make an audience feel. It doesn't matter about your surroundings. I mean, your surroundings help you, I guess, in a musical, because they're telling a lot of the story for you. But I mean, you guys know, if you've played, you know, a pub and a club is probably one of the most difficult places to play, because you have to communicate with that audience, and they could be doing something else. They could be drinking, they could be dancing, they could whatever, and you've got to get their attention. So to get their attention, you need to communicate and you need to tell the story. If you just sing, it's I don't think it's enough. I think it's just like people will switch off. They might go, oh, they got a lovely voice, great, or that was fun. But if you actually connect and tell the story and really communicate with people, they go away and they felt something. And for me, that's the important thing, is making people experience something that it sparks an emotion. You know, it's like when you hear a song and you go, oh, I remember I was, you know, I met my husband, or I met my, you know, my best friend and I went on holiday to that song. It sparks an emotion. And I think that's what we have to do as performers.
Do you think there's we were talking to a guy called Simon, who's an agent, and he does a lot of musical theatre stuff, and earlier in the series, and he said there's a real generic musical theatre voice, a way of performing that all schools are producing almost the same character. Now, you've obviously got a USP in your voice and you're performing. Would you say to younger people out there that are trying to get into theatre, trying to go and do the pubs a little bit, go and sing in front of a tough crowd and get that grounding? Because coming straight from college is not always the dream route, is it?
Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing like actually being out there and experience it. And in doing that and in different environments is so important. I mean, when I was at college, I was also performing at like a holiday place, hotel place called Potter's Leisure, which is like I was potentially a blue coat, if you like. And I was kind of singing in the evening and, you know, calling out the bingo and doing card games during the day. But what that was teaching me is how to interact with people, how to talk to people, which is a massive part of what we do. It's not enough to just, you know, walk out, sing your song and walk off again. You can't. You've got to be a person. You've got to be something that people can relate to. So I think actually the experience is massive. And where you get that from can be individual. But I think to get out there and do it is more valuable than anything. And some people go straight into West End shows. I was just on my podcast just a minute ago talking to Sam Tutty from Dear Evan Hansen. Yeah. And he's 21. You know, he's come out of college. He did the Southwark Playhouse and then obviously Dear Evan Hansen. He's won an Olivier Award. He's performed on the BBC and all of this at 21. So it's happened really fast for him. But then it's where do you go from that? Then how do you sustain that? And I sometimes think that a lot of young people think it's going to happen very quickly. And for some it does, but for some it doesn't. So therefore you have to find your own route, and finding your own route might mean go and sing on a cruise ship, go and sing as a blue coat, go and sing in a pub, go and sing at a wedding. It doesn't matter what you're doing, because all of those experiences are so valuable and they mean you will sustain a career.
Yeah, well, you've certainly had that career. You've certainly done it the hard way. Leading roles in Les Mis. I mean, it's not even like you've done little roles as well. I mean, you've worked it. I mean, I'm looking at what you've done. They're probably the biggest shows you could do. I mean, I don't know where you go. Les Mis, Oliver, Cats. Before we get on to Wicked, because that's the one, and we're desperate to talk to you about that. Obviously, we're big fans. I want to talk about The Voice. You went on the TV, The Voice. We've seen it. We watched it. Yeah. We obviously knew who you were when maybe other people didn't. And people didn't turn. Now, I have a real issue with this. Because for me...
So did I.
You won't say this because you're far too modest and lovely, but I'll say it because I don't care. You are one of the greatest voices in the world. You are, and statistically that will tell you. You've sold out theatres. You've been the leading lady in the biggest shows in the world. That's not me throwing smoke up your backside. That's a fact.
Yeah.
But yet, four people.
I like you guys. I'll come on the show more often.
You're welcome. Every week we'll get you on. Every week. And when they didn't turn, you sing your heart out, you do your thing, no one turns. Is that a massive culture shock for someone in your position, your reputation? And do you think, controversially, that there's a little bit of inside knowledge? Do you think you were maybe used for TV purposes, potentially?
I think there's lots. I mean, there's lots of things about this show. When they don't turn, it's the thing is, you know what you're going into. You know the show. Like I know it was the first year that it was in the UK, and I was called up and asked to go on the show, and said, you know, come on the live show. You have to really go through the standing outside and doing all of that. So I knew that I was getting to go on the live television show, which was fine. So for me, it was a chance to perform for the nation live on telly, which was all good. And I'm used to auditioning. I audition all the time. I still do, had done for years and still do. The difference with The Voice is that it's live in front of the nation.
Yeah.
And it was a risk that I knew what I was taking. I didn't take it lightly. But for me, it was about an opportunity. And I think in this business, in this industry, you have to take risks and you have to take opportunities. And this whole reality culture, this X Factor, Pop Idol, and obviously now a lot of the shows do, or did, they don't do it so much now, but did lots of live telly auditions. So for me, it was like, well, I might as well. What have I got to lose? I've done a lot of shows, I've done albums, but what have I got to lose? Why not? So I thought I'd go along. Brian was having a fit, by the way. He was just like, no. But for me, I was like, well, it's an opportunity. Why not? I'll go and sing for the nation. Who cares? I'm going to be on telly, whatever. And what was weird about it was I knew all the band. So Steve Sidwell, who played on my album, big arranger, does like Robbie Williams. Yeah. Big guy, he did We Will Rock You. So he's doing all the arranging. He's there. And I'm like, all right, Steve. And I know a lot of the band, worked with them before. So that was great. Lovely. Very familiar. And then obviously when they don't turn, it's, for me, the hardest bit was knowing that my family were in the room next door. Because again, when this industry is brutal, but then I'm used to it. I'm used to being told no. I'm used to being told you're not this, you're not that. I've had it all said to me, and I'm fine with it. But the different thing with this was my family was suddenly there, and I felt their disappointment, and that was harder than anything else. Yeah. And it's kind of driven. I was filmed a lot prior to the actual performance, and I know they were filming my family, and I know they were going to follow me after, and that's quite high pressure, and you're like, oh, I don't really want to react, and this is awkward. But I also know it's a game show. I know it's not a game show, but it's an entertainment show. So I get it. I know what they're trying. We all know what they're trying to do. Yeah. And that's fine. And I kind of walked away from it going, well, it's fine. People responded well to it when I was asked, what I'd done, and the audience shouted out stuff. And so, the nation responded really well. And for me, that was important. And it's not stopped me or ruined anything in any way. I think the sad thing about the show, and it's happened in more recent years. I mean, I don't watch it all the time, but lots of theatre people do go up for it, and it's not supported. And it's a shame that they haven't got anybody that represents us in some way on the panel, even if it's somebody a bit more classical, or somebody like Catherine Jenkins, or someone like, I don't know, Michael Ball or Alfie Bowe, someone a little bit more on our team that kind of celebrates the industry as a bigger picture, because they often slam theatre. And I think that's a real shame, because I think they don't really need to. So yeah, it was a mix of emotions for me. And the irony is, when I left the program, I went to the Olivier's that year. And usually I don't, do the red carpet, and people kind of know, or some people know. But that year I walked down the red carpet, and it was like paparazzi were like on another level, because I'd been on primetime television. Yeah. So in a way, it frustrates me, because I think, the power of television is huge. I mean, I was just on the BBC last week doing The Greatest Show, and the reaction is almost like, where's she come from? It's like, I've been around for years doing my thing, but suddenly you're put on the telly and everyone goes, oh my God, So the power of television is so strong. But, it's just part of it.
Have you been approached by any other reality TV shows or anything like that?
Oh, I'm a Celeb.
I'd love to go on I'm a Celeb. I would love it. Oh, I'd love it. Well, I'm a proper kind of, I grew up in the country. I'm a proper outdoorsy girl. I love anything physical. I'd love all the stuff of, jumping out of a plane, all that stuff. I'd love it. So I'd really enjoy it. I've been asked to go on Big Brother.
Have you?
But Big Brother, out of all of them, is the only one that doesn't interest me, because for me, that's not what it's about. Like, I'd love to go on and do something that challenges me, Strictly or Dance on Ice or something that there's a skill involved, or there's even the jungle, you've got to physically do things. But Big Brother's just, for me, I would feel so claustrophobic, and I don't want to be in that situation where people are just looking to see how I'm going to react to something. I'd hate that. And socially, I'm quite a quiet person. I'm not that kind of showbiz entertainer. So personally, I think I'd find that quite terrifying.
Oh, definitely. Do you think you'd like to be a judge on any of these shows, such as Dance? Because I know Ruthie Henschel, she was I mean, with that, I think that would be suited you. Would you ever consider anything like that?
Or The Voice. Get you on The Voice.
Could you imagine?
All the musical theatre guys.
You'd be too nice, because I think you've been through it so often. I think you'd turn for everybody. I think you'd be too nice.
Yeah, I'd find it difficult, I think. I would love to be a judge on something that I could be creative on. That I did a few, the I'd Do Anything and the, what was one of the other one, the Joseph one. I did a couple of days as mentor on those shows, which was nice. And yeah, anything creative that's not too brutal, I'd quite happily go on. That would be quite nice.
Well, let's before we're getting to Wicked. We're getting now. We're going to do that last. That's the big one. But you mentioned it there. The musical's The Greatest Show. We caught up on it 2 nights ago, didn't we?
Brilliant.
Because we were doing a podcast till late, and it was on. And watch it. Yeah. And then they advertise you're doing it, and you're singing my favourite song. Everyone that knows me knows that Wicked is my thing. And I'm not a musical theatre person, so I'm not that kind of. I'm not particularly into it. Controversially, I don't like Les Mis. I know everyone hates me for it. I'm not a fan, but Wicked is the one. So we'll get to that in a minute. But you did sing Defying Gravity on it, and you close a show, which again cements your legacy of people around. There's no two ways about it. What was that like, socially distanced? What was it like when you hit that big note at the end and no one claps? Like, there's a real. I've done during lockdown. I did about 20 weeks of shows every Friday.
Cool. That's good.
Bits and pieces. Just in my front room, just singing rubbish. But you suddenly realise that you don't do it for the money. You suddenly realise, and what it's like when you're a touring musician or a singer. Sometimes you do go to work for the money. You just do, and you get through it. And I'm sure you've had shows where you grin and bear it, getting paid. But you do realise that the reason we get into this is for ego. We do get into this because we love and applause. And when suddenly that's taken away, it's really hard. How did you find that on the night?
Well, like you say, I think lockdown's been a real eye-opener. I mean, over my 25 years of performing, I have never been, as we all haven't, been in a situation where I've never worked. And I've been quite fortunate to do lots of different jobs and, go in lots of different directions. I've always kept my options open, whereas I keep, reinventing myself and doing different things so that I don't sit still. And lockdown's been really difficult because it's been like losing a limb. Yes, we've been able to spend time with my family, and that's been great. And to slow down a bit has been good. But to suddenly not be able to perform, I've realised how important it is and how much it's a huge part of who I am and what makes me tick, what gives me that excitement, that adrenaline, that drive. I did the same. I did a few lives in my kitchen. I've done that, which is fine. And I did a couple of live streams. I did one at the Colosseum, which was filmed a few months ago, which was lovely. But yeah, that was difficult to be in a beautiful theatre and to not have an audience in there. The BBC thing, yeah, it was interesting. We all got ushered in very, very separately. We got tested. We got taken up to a dressing room, with one person and left in there on your own. And then you get ushered to the stage. And of course, then there's a huge orchestra, all distance, and a choir all over the auditorium. Everyone's spaced out. And you kind of walk in. I sang the song a couple of times and then I walked off and that was it. There was no sound check. There was no rehearsal. There was no, chat with anybody. That it was quite brutal. However, it did feel like, it felt like we were doing a television program. Like it did feel like we were doing something for the bigger picture. So for me, it felt like, yes, people aren't going to do it and see it now, but they will see it. We will perform this for the nation. And for me, being on stage with that orchestra, it had been so long that I didn't really care what was happening. I didn't care if there was no one in the room. You know, it just, to be back on that stage with an orchestra and know that people were going to see it was just everything. And I realized how much I'd missed it. It is hard to not have the response, but, and I can't wait to get back, and we will get that, and, you know, have audiences again. But for me, it's about the doing of it, the singing, the performing, the connecting, the, you know, it's massive, and I've missed it so much.
Well, we certainly missed you as well. There's no two ways about it, and you could tell you were totally lost in it. You could tell.
I was.
We watched it.
Brilliant.
Absolute bit. So come on, then, let's do it. Then let's get to it. Let's get to Wicked. Obviously, Idina Menzel is a superstar. We know that. I'm sure you know her well. What was it like when you step into her shoes for the first time and you get that show? What was that feeling like? How did you find out about it, and what was it like for you?
So I was doing Les Mis at the time, and I'd done 7 auditions for Wicked. And the irony with it is I was auditioning before this for Evita, and I really wanted Evita because I was like, I've done a few shows. Evita was a role I thought I'm going to play this role. It's got my name written all over it, and it was coming. There was a new version. There was a new director, and it was coming to the West End. And I thought, this is my moment. You know, I've done We Will Rock You. I've set up that show. You know, this is going to happen. It didn't. I did about 3 or 4 auditions for it, and it just didn't happen. So I was gutted. And then, of course, Wicked started to audition, which took my focus, obviously, and that was fine. And I went in, and still a bit grumpy that I did get Evita, and then, you know, just kept going through these auditions. But I think because I was in Les Mis, I had the kind of security that I was in a show, and if this didn't work out, that's fine, because I'll still be doing Les Mis, and that's all right, and I'm happy doing the show. And then I got it. I remember the call. I was between shows in Les Mis, and I remember walking down on Compton Street. I had like pink curls in my hair and like this net over my head, as you do. I mean, nobody cares on Compton Street. They don't care what you look like. And I remember talking to my agent on the phone. He's saying, you know, you've got it. I just remember screaming, and I've not done that with any other role. I'm usually being pretty cool, like, oh, brilliant, really chuffed. But Wicked, I lost my, you know, and it was amazing. And I didn't know how big it was going to be. I didn't really know anything about it, but I was just excited that I was going to do something new. And, you know, it was this big American show, and that was it, really. And we went into, I thought actually that I was going to do the role. And it wasn't until about 2 or 3 weeks later that I got another call saying, you still got it, but, you know, the original girl, Idina Menzel, is going to come over and do the first 3 months. So we'd like you to be a standby for the 3 months. So I was a bit like, oh, well, okay, that's fine. Because I've been playing roles. So I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do that. But they were like, we can make a big deal when you open the show, and, you know, it'll go really quick. So I was like, fine, okay. And thank God that I did, because the fact that Idina came here opened up the opportunity in the window for me to then go to Broadway a year later, because you can go on an exchange. And so thank God she did come, because Joe Mantello called, who's the director, called and said, once I was in the show for a bit, you know, we'd love you to come and be the first British girl to play Elphaba on Broadway. You know, because of the exchanges open, you can still come, and that was amazing. So in hindsight, it was a great thing.
Amazing. And not only did you step into the role, obviously she goes on to do Frozen and bits and pieces, obviously. you take it on, and it's your role now. There's no two ways about it. I have one question, and it's the one thing that bugged me when I went to see the show. I knew nothing about the show. Everyone knows it's my favourite show. You know it's my favourite show. But the one thing that always strikes me, and as a performer myself, how do you go into the halftime break singing that song, getting that, and it's the song. There are great songs in the show, but it's the song. How do you pick yourself up from that? Because it would be the equivalent of me doing a Robbie Williams tribute and singing Angels just before halftime. Nothing can follow it. Like, what is it like going in the dressing room, having just done that, literally flying, and then what? How do you react to that?
Yeah, I guess you still know what you've got to do. I think yes, it's a real pinnacle moment, and you know, it's the song that everyone's waiting for. But they're in any show. Yeah,
the worst time, really.
It does. It's difficult. It is difficult because ideally that would come and then you'd finish the show because you're done, you're spent. You know, you've still got
half time. I got goosebumps and tears in my eye, and the girl I was with at the time was looking at me. I'm going, it's not me. I've got something in my eye. I'm like, well, I'm crying.
It is. It's one of those. I mean, Stephen knows how to write a song. Stephen Schwartz is a genius, and he's written such an amazing score, and that song is known worldwide. And that's when you know it's a brilliant song, that it can just translate. It can stand alone in a show, as it did, you know, in the BBC program, and finish a show really well. But it can also be poignant in a show and tell the story, and it can translate worldwide. I remember singing that song in Japan. Again, nobody knew who I was. I guess a few people might have done because of my connection with Brian, but I went out and I sang that song, and it was unbelievable. Everyone said, oh, Japan, they're a real reserved audience. They don't really respond to things. They're very polite. They will clap. But I sang that over there, and they went divvy. They got up on there, were shouting and screaming. And I was like, wow, the power of this song is unbelievable. And it is, you know, I've sung it in various different places and people go nuts for it. Yeah, it's different in the show because you're kind of in that storytelling mode. It's a poignant moment in the show because it's her becoming the Wicked Witch, and it's a real dramatic moment. Your focus isn't on, when you're doing a concert, you come off and you're like, oh, the adrenaline and blah, blah. That doesn't happen in a musical until the end of the show because you're kind of halfway. You've still got No Good Deed. You've still got As Long As You're Mine. You've still got For Good. You know, you've still got these big moments to hit. So your focus is just, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. Let's go get changed. Let's have a cup of tea. Let's go.
Yeah. Incredible. And obviously you took over the role from Adina Menzel, who I'm a big fan of as well. What advice does she give you before you stepped into the role officially on your opening night?
Good question.
Well, I think for Adina, it was going to be, it happened earlier than we thought it was going to happen. So because I was a standby, I went on about a month in, maybe a month and a half in. And I went on literally at that moment before Gravity. She was poorly, understandably, with that show. And after Wizard and I got the message that Adina's not feeling great. Can you start greening up? So you might not go on, but
through the show.
Yeah. So this is after she's done Wizard and I got the message she might go off. We don't know, but start greening up. So I go, and people are like chucking green stuff at my face, and then after I'm Not That Girl, they're like, you're definitely going on. So it's getting a bit more hectic. Everybody's like grabbing stuff and starting to change things over. And then literally there's a moment where Gravity starts and the two witches run off for like 10 seconds and then they run on again. So Adina ran off and I ran on and did Gravity. So in a way it was a blessing because I didn't have time to think about it and to, think about the gravitas of the moment, if you like. Yeah. But it was also a double-edged sword because I wanted my first time to do the show to be the first time, when people were expecting. But it did give me that kind of preview, if you like. It got me those few shows to have a go at it before the press were coming in. So it was good, and it was it was a bit crazy. I mean, I got the adrenaline that night because I'd not done it before, and I was just thrown in, but it was good.
Amazing.
At the deep end.
Absolutely.
At the deep end, yeah.
The reality, we can talk about Wicked all day long, and we'll get you back for, we'll do like a Wicked special. We'll get
A
you
Wicked
back.
special.
One thing I do want to ask is being a mum. Now, I'm a dad, you know, I've got a couple of kids, and I know that when I go and do weekend work, and Sunday mornings can be a bit of a drag. Daddy wake up at 8 in the morning, I got in 4 hours ago. What's it like being a big West End star? What's it like doing the job that you do, which is full on, as we know, and having kids?
I mean, at the moment, I would just kill to get out and not homeschool for the day. I mean,
for a break.
Oh, I mean, homeschool is another level. I had it, yeah, like I say, you know, it's been great to have some time, because when you're gigging and you're away, and it's always difficult, because you want to you're doing something you love, but you're being away from the thing that you love the most. So it is difficult. However, it worked. We kind of work it out, and it's, I mean, if I'm happy, they're happy. And for me, if I'm doing both, that's the best thing for me. They've always just been included in it. I was pregnant. I worked pregnant right up literally until 2 weeks before both of them were born, singing and doing concerts. I did Cats when I was pregnant with Fred. And then after both of them were born, I took them on tour. They came in their car seats and we just took them. I toured with Brian after I had Alfie, I think, and we went on a European tour for 4 months, and they've both just been around it. So it's not that they don't know any different, but they're very accepting of the situation. So they're quite fine if I go away for a week, or if I'm away, you know, nights here and there, they're fine with it. They don't know anything different. And for us, we've just made it work. And for me, it's really important for them to see both of us doing a job that we love doing. My husband works in football, he coaches and loves it. And for me, it's important for them to see that you have to work for a living, and you spend a lot of time working for a living. So why not do something that you love and that you're passionate about? And it's good. I mean, they're not that bothered about what I do. They don't really care.
How old are they?
7 and 5. The only time they actually were impressed was because I think that it freaked them out. I did BBC Breakfast talking about the greatest show the other day. And of course, obviously, no one's going into the studio. So if I go and do something on the television, they will watch it. But then by the time I get home, you know, they've had lunch and they've probably gone to the park and they've come back. They don't care by then. But because I was at home and I was in here doing the BBC Breakfast interview, and they're in the kitchen watching me, and then literally as they came and like ran in the room, they're like, "You're on the telly and you're here." You know, that was cool for them. But other than that, they're not really bothered.
My daughter's a musical theatre girl. She's 9. She's into all that dancing and theatre and stuff. So when Daddy performs, if I still out of theatre, I'm in a band, and we still out of theatre and stuff, she performs with her dance school on the same stage, maybe a few weeks before.
Amazing.
So I come off, I smashed it, standing ovation. My daughter's there, big hug, Daddy, I love you. So, Amber, my daughter, so how did Daddy do? She went, "You were very good." Not as good as me, but very good.
I love how honest they are, though. You know, I love their brutal honesty, and they keep you real. You know, they bring it down to reality straight away. You know, they're bothered about the sweets that they get in half time, and they're bothered about things that mean something to them right there and then, which I love. I think it's great.
I don't think they can get their head around the fact that for those hour and a half, 2 hours, you're a superstar. Autographs, I'm posing for 100, like you, photos, everything else. And then my little girl looks at me as if to go, "But Daddy, you're the man that farts in bed at night."
Yeah, they do.
The normal. I mean, of course I do. I'm a dad. It's what I do.
Yeah. It's nice though. I love that to have kids around it. I think is brilliant, and it also shows them that there's other things out there, that they can do other things. It can open their eyes to different ways to go into a profession, like lighting and sound and front of house and producers, and there's so much more to show them, which I love. I think that's really important.
Oh, absolutely. Do you think they'll follow in your footsteps by going into...
My eldest, I don't think. I think he's physical. He just wants to run around and like play football, and you know, he's a real boy. My youngest is also really physical, but I think he possibly might. The dog might. The dog's more.
You can tell you're a mum because the door creaks open every now and again.
I know.
Finished? Not yet.
I know. It's just working from home, isn't it? I mean, I've been teaching a little bit and podcasting, doing my podcast, and they pop up the whole time. I
like
mean,
your podcast for us? Give us a shout out to your podcast.
Yeah. So I'm doing Keep Calm and Carry On, and I'm on season. We just finished season 3, and we're about to film season 4. So it's good. It's been a real lifeline for me through lockdown, to create something that is a creative outlet when we can't be creative has been really important, and I've loved it.
No, I love it. We'll wait for our invite. Wait for our invite to come on.
Yeah, I need to get you guys on.
We'll come on. We've got nothing to say, but we'll come on.
We'll just have a chat.
Yeah, I'm up for that. Get the kettle on.
No, honestly, Kate, well, I'm a massive fan of yours. I think you're absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
Who are you a big fan of? Who's your musical influences?
You can't see it here, but I've got a picture of Liza Minnelli on my wall when she's doing cabaret, and I grew up watching her and absolutely idolizing her, and dancing around my living room singing Maybe This Time, and she just inspired me, I think, because she was kind of that typical, not just a theatre star, she was kind of an all-round star, and then she sang, she did all concerts and things like that. So I absolutely loved her, and I got to meet her once when she came to watch We Will Rock You, and we'd met lots of people, obviously, because Brian and Roger and Ben, they knew obviously loads of celebs, so loads of people coming to the show, and it was great and it was lovely. But then Liza came, and I couldn't speak to her. She came and shook my hand and went, "Hi, I'm Liza," and my jaw dropped. I mean, they say, when you meet your idols, you don't know what to say. And it's the first time it happened to me, and I just couldn't speak. I was absolutely struck. But it was so amazing. I did get a picture, and she was so lovely. So yeah, probably Liza.
You're a bit like that now, aren't you? Of all the interviews we've done, there's only been 2 where she's gone a bit like this. One was Richie from 5.
Fair play.
And one was you. So well done. You shut her up.
Thanks.
Which reminds me as well, just off the record, we need to tap her up so we can get Brian May on the podcast. Why'd you get Brian May on the podcast?
There you go. I'll ask him.
Leaving it out there. Right, okay, so you're a busy lady. We're going to let you go. Before we do, we've prepped you for this. We are going to put the Queen of Broadway and everywhere else. We're going to take you out of there, and we're going to put you on a desert island. Sounds like the dream right now.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, just outside of Hertfordshire would be great right now.
Anywhere. I'll take the co-op on a Saturday or do it in a minute.
That's it, isn't it? So the supermarket is a day out at the moment. Really it's like, I'll go. Yeah.
We can tell you now, because this is on Zoom, but I've been just going out on the podcast. We're dressed from the waist up, down. I've done my hair today. This is a trip out for us. This is it. So we're going to put you on a desert island, give you a mojito in hand, sun shining. Nice.
Lovely.
But you get to take, you're there for life, I'm afraid. So you get to take.
I'll take that right now.
Peace and quiet. One movie for the rest of your life to watch. One celebrity crush, mainly to upset the husband, but apart from that, with you. And one song to listen to for all of eternity. So I will play that out at the end for you. So your movie, what's it going to be?
My movie would be, I really love Shawshank Redemption. If that comes on, I can watch it anytime, but I wouldn't take that because it's a little bit depressing.
That gets picked all the time, you know.
Oh, does it? It's my favourite film of all time. I just love it. And it's one of those films that I can whenever it's on and you pick it up at any point, I just continue to watch it. I just love it. But I think if I was stuck on an island, I think I'd need something a bit bright and a bit jolly, and I think something that I could sing along to. So something like Grease, or something like I love The Wizard of Oz, or like Step Brothers, something really funny.
I like that. Yeah.
So I've given you 4.
We love you, so we'll only go 3.
Yeah.
You KERRY ELLIS, you can take what you like.
Yeah.
Wait till the songs.
Take what you like.
Yeah.
Okay. Celebrity crush. Who is the person you're going to take?
Celebrity crush. Again, I mean, I'd quite like to have a party over there and take quite a few people. But I think the most recent thing I've watched on Netflix through lockdown was The Last Kingdom, and it was my kind of my husband would go to work because he was able to go to work through lockdown, and I'd sit and watch The Last Kingdom. So I think the guy that plays Ragnar would have to be my celebrity crush.
Yeah.
You'll have to check him out.
And the husband wouldn't be upset with that, no?
Well, I'm sure he would be, but
Tough.
It's all right.
he's not here. It's my island.
Yeah, tough, my island. Right, okay. Now, I know I've got a gut feeling what you're going to say. I know what I'd like it to be. But what would be your one song to take for eternity on your desert island?
Oh dear. Well, again, it would probably have to be something fun, like Pharrell's Happy, or something fun that I could just dance around to. But because it's your podcast, and because we've been talking about everything Wicked, and because of the show and my nostalgia for Wicked and singing it on the BBC, it has to be Defying Gravity.
That's why you're my favourite. Right.
Favourite ever.
Kerry, listen, thank you so much. It has been a genuine honour to have you on to finish our season. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. I'll shout about you on my podcast as well. Absolutely.
God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. Stay safe, and we'll speak very soon. Lots of love.
And so if you care for me, up to the western sky, as someone told me lately, everyone deserves a chance to fly. And if I'm flying solo, at least I'm flying free. To those who ground me, take a message back from me. Tell them I defy gravity. I'm flying high, defying gravity. And soon I'll match them in me now. And nobody in all of us, no wizard that there is or was, is ever gonna break me
Hello boys and girls, this is Captain Jack Sparrow speaking, and when I like to relax, I sit down and I listen to Dougie's and Deb's podcast. Savvy? Now, pass me that bottle of rum. What do you mean the rum's gone? Why is the rum always gone?
The Dougie and Deb podcast is sponsored by Isla B Bridal Nuneaton. Book an appointment today and shop for all your wedding needs. Visit islabbridal.co.uk.
It is now time for this.
When the clouds say bow, select up.
Thank you once again, Mr. Craig David. Now, you guys know the drill by now. This is the Rewind Challenge. It's your part of the show to take part. 3 songs back to back, but in reverse. Can you name them? Here is a little reminder of last week's Rewind Challenge. So shockingly, for the first time this series, not one single winner.
Nope.
2 out of 3 we got, but nobody got 3 out of 3. Deb, what were the answers?
Okay, so the first song was Shallow by Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. The second song, which is the one that people didn't get,
Everyone got this wrong.
Everyone. Things We Do for Love by 10cc.
Oh, that's the sound of people kicking themselves.
Yeah.
You can hear it.
Absolutely. That's the one that I can get either.
That's true.
And the last song was Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody.
There you go. Then 3 very well-known songs, but in reverse, and no one got them this week. We're bringing this back next series. It's been so popular.
Yes.
Don't fret. So for the final time in Series 1, take it away, Craig David.
When the clouds say bow, select up.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it. I like to move it.
Hello, everybody. It is I, King Julian. That's me. That is who I am. Anyway, after a long weekend of partying, I like to sit down and listen to Dougie and Deb's podcast. It is number 1 in the whole of Madagascar. I wouldn't lie to you. It really, really is. Anyway, keep on partying. See you later, crocodile.
You like to move it, move it. 3, 2, 1.
Yep, do da dee la do da dee da dee da dee da dee da. Yep, do da dee la do. It's time for Dougie and Deb's Time Machine. Jump on board. Tally-ho, pip pip.
For the last time in this series, we are going to be taking a trip back in our time machine.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, we sure are. And this time we are going back to 1979.
Yay.
Hopefully, by the time we start doing series 2, the world will be in a better place.
Oh, I hope so.
Fingers crossed.
So, yeah.
But for now, it's still rubbish. So we are going to take you out of here, back in our time machine to 1979. Are you ready, Deb?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm still shocked we don't get any emails asking where we get our time machine from.
I know, it's brilliant.
Shocked. It's like people don't believe it's a real thing.
No.
Regardless, welcome everyone to 1979. Deb, what happened in this year?
In this year, Dougie, this American TV show launched on our screens.
Just a good old boy, never meaning no harm.
Yes, that's right. The Dukes of Hazzard is an American TV show portraying the lives of cousins Bo, Luke and Daisy Duke, living at the farm of their uncle Jesse in Hazzard County. The TV series had 7 seasons and 145 episodes in total, and it was inspired by the 1975 film Moonrunners.
Do you remember what the car sounded like?
Yes, I do, but please play it.
Let's play a reminder. That's the second most iconic thing about that TV show. Sadly, we can't in audio form portray Daisy Duke's hot pants.
No, definitely not.
Sadly.
No.
Carry on.
Yeah, so going on from that...
I can't get that out of my head, I'm sorry.
The series had 2 spin-off series and was followed by 3 sequel movies and a prequel movie. Can you believe? And
Jessica Simpson's bum in hot pants. Yeah. Move on, quickly, move on.
There we go. In other news around the globe, the eradication of the smallpox virus was certified. There's hope for COVID, Dougie.
There really is.
There is hope.
There is.
China institutes the 1 child per family rule to help control its exploding population.
Oh, okay.
The Sahara Desert experienced snow for 30 minutes. That's unreal.
Nice.
Margaret Thatcher was elected as a UK Prime Minister on the May the 3rd of this year.
Well, there goes me naughty thoughts about hot pants. You killed it.
Thanks
very much.
Killed it.
Killed it.
Happy thoughts.
Happy thoughts.
The McDonald's Happy Meal first went on sale.
Very happy thoughts.
Can you believe?
Yeah.
Walkman 1979 was launched, allowing people to listen to music whilst on the move.
Revolutionary
right indeed. Right, so in cinema, popular films this year was Star Trek, the motion picture. Still not seen it.
Ugh.
Rocky 2.
Please tell me you've seen it.
I have. I've seen that
good.
one. And the most popular film this year was this one. Yes, the iconic Superman was the first ever Superman film and starred Christopher Reeve as the title character. If you've been living under a rock, Superman is about an alien orphan sent from his dying planet to Earth, where he grows up to become his adoptive home's first and greatest superhero. The first film has grossed over $300 million worldwide.
Not bad at all. It's a great film and a great theme tune as well.
Oh,
we never usually let them drag out that long, but we
No.
thought, nah, why not?
Why not?
Last show of the series, do what we want.
Oh, exactly.
Why not?
I have to say though, why is it so, in films and series such as Superman and Wonder Woman, as soon as they put on a pair of glasses and normal workwear, nobody knows who they are?
I can say the same about you though. I've seen you with no makeup on. You'd never get recognised.
Oh, shut up,
Actually, looking at most of your photos on Instagram, if you got lost, no one would ever be able to find you. Have you seen this woman? Looks nothing like that. Filters and God knows what else. Leave Superman alone.
You say the same about you.
True story. Especially at the minute, lockdown. Not a good look.
Lock up.
Yeah, I should be.
So what happened?
She's gone. Head's totally gone.
So
Be
what
professional,
happened?
Deborah.
What happened in the
No,
music?
do a proper link to me now. So
Okay.
final one of the series, do a proper link to me. Go on, come on. We're leaving all this in. People need to hear how unprofessional you are, the whole of series 1. Come on, link to me properly. Composure.
What happened in the music world, Ducky?
Okay, it's very good. And the music world in 1979 was amazing. 141 singles charted in the top 10 in 1979, but none were more iconic than this one. Of course, the iconic sounds of the Village People. Not very often you say that, but this is a banger. YMCA. I defy you not to be doing it at home. Here we go.
It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay
Like a 1970s DJ.
Do you know what? It's one of those songs that instantly just cheers you up.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hopefully that puts a smile on your face. That was, of course, released in 1978, but reached its peak in 79, so we're having it.
Oh, definitely. Can I say something?
Go on.
Before lockdown, me and my friend used to go into bars and they'll be absolutely heaving and request this song, and the DJ would be like, absolutely not, no. And then they'd play it a bit later on in the evening and everyone would be going mental.
Does
for
explain
it.
why you were single on nights out, though. 32 artists scored multiple entries in the top 10 in 1979. Dire Straits, The Jam, Madness, The Police, and The Specials were among the many artists who achieved their first UK charting in the top 10. But believe it or not, YMCA was not the biggest selling single of the year. That honour went to Art Garfunkel, one half, of course, of Simon and Garfunkel, with this.
Bright eyes, burning like fire. Bright eyes, how can you close and fade?
From the film Watership Down, I think that's where most people would have heard of it. Bright Eyes there, Art Garfunkel, was the biggest selling single of the year, spending 9 weeks in the top 10, including 6 at number 1, and went certified platinum that year. Other big selling hits of the year: Heart of Glass by Blondie, Cliff Richard's We Don't Talk Anymore, I Don't Like Mondays from the Boomtown Rats, and When You're in Love with a Beautiful Woman made up a huge year for music. But Deb, sadly for now, it is time to leave 1979 and return back in our time machine for the last time in Series 1. But don't worry, fans, it'll be back next series. So I cannot quite believe I'm going to say this, but that is it for Season 1.
I know.
That's mad.
What a journey we've been on.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
We set this up midway through lockdown, the lowest period in most people's lives, purely to give us something creative to do. We're a couple of singers.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what's happened and what's happening to our industry. And we thought, do you know what? If 2 or 3 people hear it, it puts a smile on their face, then job done.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was mainly for our mental health, wasn't it? Let's be honest. To just kind of give us something to focus on. The feedback we've had, listen, we can't do this without you. We need you guys to tune in, and you've tuned in your thousands. We are eternally grateful.
Yeah, we really are. Thank you.
We really are. a very, very special mention to the people who have joined us, because without you guys and your amazing insight and careers, we wouldn't have had any interviews. So I'll kick it off. A massive thank you to Jimmy from 90s boy band 911, who joined us in episode 1.
Episode 1, absolutely. Dave Hemingway from the beautiful South and the Sunbirds.
Absolutely. Richie Neville from 5. Thank you so much for joining us in episode 3.
Chrissy Rock from Benidorm.
Oh, brilliant. Stevie Ritchie from X Factor, now my friend, by the way.
Mine too.
He really is.
Simon Mayhew.
Thank you to Simon as well. He's an agent from Collective Artists, and he sent us loads of people. So thank you, Simon, for that. Michael Auger from Collabro.
And Kerry Ellis.
Thank you so much, Kerry.
Thank
A
you.
brilliant interview. You can catch up on all of those episodes. They are all live and free right now on Spotify, Amazon Music, or if it's easier, just Google the Dougie and Deb podcast. We're literally everywhere. And remember, it is free.
It is.
Now, if people want to get in touch, if you want to suggest anything at all, or just want to get in touch and tell us that you're listening, that would be great to hear from you. Deb, how do people get in touch?
Please do. We're on all the socials, so Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. You can find us at the Dougie and Deb Podcast, or email us at the Dougie and Deb Podcast @gmail.com.
Very good indeed. Listen, all that remains for us to say now is a massive thank you to each and every one of you who has tuned in.
Yes.
Those of you who are going to tune in during the break, and we cannot wait to come back with some more massive interviews and some more fun for series 2.
Exciting.
That's it. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.